Hi, welcome to another video of the Target Individual Program, the Target Individual Experience. Before I can start doing the video, I want to share this article. This is an article written in 2004, November 1st, and it talks about how to brainwash a population. Okay, democracy can't work if system is subverted by propaganda. This is from the website CCPA, Canadian Center for Policy Alternative. Okay, and just going to read a few paragraphs. Okay, Winston Churchill once described democracy as the worst form of government except all other forms that have been tried from time to time. That was in the House of Commons speech back in 1947. He was aware of how people could be persuaded to vote for incompetent or even unprincipled politician. He has seen Hitler democratically elected in Germany, and public brainwashing later refined to a sinister science by Hitler's Minister of Propaganda, Joseph Goebbels. But I doubt if Churchill could have anticipated the scope and intensity of the media propaganda mill that has been operating in the United States, and to a lesser extent in Canada, over the past 3 decades. It's a cliche that, to work as intended, democracy requires a well informed electorate. To be more specific, it requires that voters have a genuine choice of parties and candidates. Two, that the result of elections fairly reflect the voters' wishes. And most importantly, three, that the voters know how to vote in their own best interests. In our current political system, the last two of these prerequisites often exist. And some would argue that the first, is lacking too. A conversion to some kind of proportional representation might correct the second deficiency, or at least begin to address it. But the problem of uninformed, or more accurately, misinformed voters is much more difficult to tackle because it originates with the print and broadcast outlet that people rely on for information. What they read in the newspaper or see or hear on TV and radio shapes their political view. In thinking process can be subverted, their opinion remolded, their voting preferences twisted. They can be induced to support and vote for politicians who will never faithfully represent them or promote their interests. On the contrary, the governments have elect and re-elect. The government they elect and re-elect will make them less happy and secure by passing laws and adopting principles that benefit only the affluent minority. This mass media manipulation of mindset in the United States has described in detail was described in detail by Louis H. Lapham, the estimatable editor of Harper's in the magazine's September issue. It stated that in the early 1970s, when what Lapham called the Legion of Reaction, the business baron and their academic and professional henchmen launched a large scale and heavily financed campaign to boost and strengthen private enterprise. The first stage was to re engineer public opinion. The capital for this venture in mind control was provided by several rich American philanthropists such as Richard Mellon Scaffi, John Olin, Charles Koch, and Joseph Coors. Their money was ideologically sound, says Lapin, and it was put to work acquiring newspapers, radio stations, and journals of opinion, bankrolling intellectual sweatshops, think tank, for the making of political and socio-economic theory. These right wing think tanks include the Heritage Foundation, the American Enterprise Institute, the Cato Institute, the Hudson Institute, and a dozen others, all endowed with multi-million-dollar budgets and all crunching out studies, reports, pamphlets, monograph, and other paper dedicated to freeing America at last from the tyranny of the left, from the dungeons of liberalism, and ushering a new age of unconstrained corporate greed. So in the end, I'm not going to go further reading this. But not only did they co-opted just the media, the news media, the print media, but they co-opted also certain social movement, such as the feminist movement, which was co-opted when the CIA installed Gloria Steinem into the movement. Now she's what they call the modern day 20th century, 21st century feminist leader, and she was a CIA agent. Okay, and so now you have a lot of these editors from these high fashion magazines coming out and saying that we were writing lies, right, to make women believe certain things, to get them to travel, to buy products, right? So corporate America has co-opted certain movement in order to benefit corporate America because of greed. And this is what we have to understand. And particularly being a black person and being part of the black community, you know, as I was younger, I never even thought about these things. There's too many of us out there who are ignorant in our young age because they would know older individuals to tell us the truth. Because these older individuals themselves basically abandon, the younger up and coming generation. Okay, and they have been conditioned to that. And our generation, my generation, are doing the same thing. Is doing the same thing. But I'm not. I can't. And particularly being a targeted individual and knowing what happened, knowing how, actually looking back and understanding how I was manipulated, how others were manipulated around me, how things are done in the shadows, poisoning of your food, okay, drugging you, using women, right, honey traps, using technologies that's unseen, made to manipulate the conscious and subconscious minds of an individual or replace their conscious mindset. These are things that a lot of us don't want to believe is happening or have happened. But there's a long history within the United States of experimentation done exactly for that purpose. And like I always say, don't believe me, go look it up. Right? And me being a black person concerned in the relationship between black men and black women and understanding what they have done to black men and how they continue to villainize, to where the point where black women will blame their struggles on black men, not understanding that we're going through the same struggles. And it's white supremacy that is causing the separation. It's white supremacy that is tearing the black family apart. Okay, yes, individuals make certain decisions, but those decisions are coerced, are manipulated. Okay, and you have to understand that. So, for example, in my targeting, particularly how they use my kid's mother against me, the lies and the manipulation, because what they'll do is that they'll create the personality they want within an individual. Okay, and that individual have no clue of what's happening. Right? So, and again, the delusional mindset that's created, particularly within black women, and I'm not bashing black women, I'm just speaking the truth, and I'll show you the truth. As with us as black men. But the thing is with black men is that sooner or later we wake up and we understand what's being done. But because black women are highly religious, the most religious sex uh, in the country, and when I say sex, I mean in terms of um, women in general, right? Because that's your sex or your gender. Um, and particularly black women, they have been lied to and manipulated. And now you have a large population of black women who are delusional in the way of thinking, who just want to have fun 24/7, who have detached themselves from their children, okay, who find it exciting leading a double life, being malignant narcissists, and who think it's just okay to lie. You hear the sirens out there. Yeah, no. It's funny. They were trying to get me to not do this video. So I've been calling Pam earlier. Her phone has been sending me straight to voicemail. You know, whenever I call her phone, there is a long pause, right? And about 15 to 20 something seconds later, the phone will just go straight into voicemail. So I called that on the house phone. And of course, her phone rang immediately because I wanted to see if it was something with my phone. Not also that, but I call other people and the phone rang immediately. And so when I finally did speak to her, because she answered when I called her from the house phone, and I said to her, "Hey, what's going on with your phone? I've been calling. Did you mute me or something like that, or did you block me for the, block me what have you?" She's like, "No, I don't know what happened and such and such." So I have been even after I dropped the kids, the boys and girls came here, setting up for this video. She called me. I was trying to connect with my earpiece, but I guess that didn't answer fast enough. So I guess the phone went into voicemail, what have you. But again, like I said, they'll do this stuff. They'll manipulate her to target me. We get into an argument, and then, like if I leave and I call to, say goodnight to the kids, I can't get Ethan on his phone. I'll call her. Her phone immediately goes into voicemail. Okay. So yeah. Then on top of that, this morning, again, late for work, kids late for school. And, I can't tell her nothing. And she's telling me, well, Alyssa hasn't done her homework in a week. I said, well, listen, I dropped them to boys and girls and I've been going home, right? That's what you wanted, right? Okay, so if they're not helping her at the Boys and Girls Club, right? And I've spoken to them about that. And they said, well, we don't help kids with homework, which I think is ridiculous. And again, these are black people who was looking after our children in an after school program, and they don't even want to help our children with homework. The school that my daughter go to, that my son used to go to, PS6, the same thing. These are black women who are the principal, vice principals. They are the majority of teachers within that school. Yet when it comes to showing more care and concern for our children, they don't. What white supremacists have done and white supremacy have done today is remove the motherly, nurturing, I should say, aspect to their children. More now, their children is being used as tools against the father, tools for child support. Okay. And then on top of that, and I would say for a lot of men out there, most men out there, if you have children, you're not married, you were in a relationship, even if you are in a relationship and you're not in a relationship anymore, you go and get a DNA test on your children. Okay? Because it is my belief that a lot of women are being programmed to go after the men that they want who don't want them. The guys with the driving the BMWs and the Mercedes Benz, right? And these guys clearly don't want kids with them, but these women will sleep with them, get pregnant, find somebody else to claim to be that child's father. It is a racketeering scam that is happening, and they're being conditioned that way. And the white supremacists on the police force, within the court system, family court system, they know what's going on. Okay? They're the one that's doing this. And with the silent sound subliminal messaging given to black women, you know, they're okay with it. Okay. But again, this is just my belief on that. I don't have any proof. I'm just talking about from experience. Okay. But I do think that that everyone, when a child is born, there should be a DNA test given within the first week. Okay. There should be a DNA test given within the first week, without a doubt. And they need to make that into a law. Because a lot of these women know that they're sleeping with multiple men, and when they get pregnant, they'll find someone who is nice, who they feel will be a good father, and they pin that child on that man. And then the court system is used to cover it up. Because again, once you sign your name on that birth certificate, okay, then it doesn't care if you're the biological father or not. You sign the birth certificate. And that to me is crazy and ridiculous. But the reason why that is there is so that the government, right, so that the government will not be able, or if that woman go get help from the government don't have to give her help because that child has a father whose name is on the birth certificate. Whether it's a biological, whether it's the child is the man's biological child or not, once you sign that birth certificate, that's it. And again, you have a lot of women who do this. Okay? And those within the courts and the police system, departments, they know this. Because a lot of these, let me just say this, okay? You have a lot of police officers, black, white, Hispanic, what have you, okay, who use their authority and use their power to sleep with a lot of these young women, okay, get them pregnant, and then make them pass that child off as somebody else's. You hear the car honking? Are they confirming me on that? I guess they're confirming that I'm correct. Okay. So anyway, and a lot of these women, you can't tell them nothing, right? They are brainwashed, manipulated to the point where they don't have to listen to us as men. Okay? Because guess what? They got the white supremacists in the police force to protect them. Okay? This is why when you confront them about the possibility of you not being a child, they want to act as if they'll call the cops and say that you assault them. Just so that they can get you arrested so they can use it to cover up their crime against you. And it is a crime against you. It is a cover up. Okay? So, the media love to talk about, particularly how they portray us as black men, right? Which again, and there's a reason for that. Right? Because when you can villainize a group of people, then what you think is going to happen next? History has taught us well what happens when government, those within the power structure or the authoritative structure, due to marginalized group of people, eventually they're going to brainwash other people to attack those people. And that's been happening, particularly us as black people and us as TIs too. So whether you're a white TI, Asian, what have you, this applies to you too. Okay? And one of the ways in which they can keep black men financially and TIs financially crippled, okay, is to manipulate, and these white supremacists will do this, sleep with their partner, or if they break up, sleep with the partner immediately. They use that moment of vulnerability on the other person, particularly if it's a woman. Sleep with her, get her pregnant, and then pass the baby off as the ex or us as TIs. I'm talking for the men here. Okay? And so we have to understand that. Okay? And like I said, these women, you can't tell them nothing. My situation with the kid's mom, I can't tell her shit. I can come in, I can clean up her house. But when she comes in and she come in with her sneaker shoe outside. And I said, please, can you take off your shoes? Don't come into the living room with your shoes because I just mopped it, just clean. It's like, well, it's my house, so you can't tell me what to do. But then when I don't clean because of that, then it's like, you've been sitting here all this time and you haven't even cleaned. Meanwhile, she won't clean. But because again, they're using her, and because she feel that because she's a part of this destructive cult, that she can manipulate me because she know what's being done, and she's going to use it to her advantage. Okay, and I'm like, no. So when I said to her early this morning, I said, listen, you know, this is what you wanted. Okay. And she's like, oh, we'll figure it out. Well, that has not been going on well for you because the kids are always late for school. They're always tired because they're up late at night. I said, how come when I'm here, they don't do those things? My daughter don't make the mess. They go to bed when I tell them to go to bed. And they sleep through the night. If they get up and I come out and I tell them, go back to bed, they go back to bed. Okay? But again, I can tell her nothing. When I said to her, okay, I just cleaned down the kitchen table. Please don't do it again. Again, she looked at me like I'm, because what they've done is created chaos in her mindset. No logical thinking. The malignant narcissists refuse to change because they grasp onto the power that they think they have. The false idea of power because given to them by those within the authoritative position who are part of the religious sector, okay, who basically, and particularly in the black community, hold on a sec. Just need some water. And particularly in the black community, they have created many ways in which to manipulate us as black men and black women and continue to divide and conquer to where the relationship between black men and black women is so far apart. And I'm gonna say this, okay? Let me give an example. All right. So here's Psychology Today. This is written by Bella DePaulo, right? A social psychologist. Okay. I want you to look at this woman. All right. Now, she wrote this article. Go back here. She wrote this article on the strategic singlehood of black women. Defined stereotype single life for black women is often purposeful and freeing. Okay? This is what she's saying, right? Now, this woman, she's not black. Okay? But she's writing about how being single for black women is purposeful and freeing. Okay? Now I want you to listen to this. The number of proportion of people living single has been on the rise for a decade, both in the US and around the world. No, this is just the US. Okay? And again, the lies that they want to tell and their readers. Remember, this is Psychology Today now. Okay? So in the US, the population of black women who are not married is higher than Latinx, white, or Asian American women. If you were to guess why so many black women in the US were not married, what would you say? If you point to rates of incarceration and mortality for black men, or if you say that black women earn more college degree than black men, you would be citing the kind of factors that most often gets discussed by social science researchers and opinion writers. Because you know why? Those things matters. They matter. Okay? And those factors are not irrelevant, but they leave out something important. What Wayne State University assistant Professor Jessica D. Mormon described as black women agency in their single status. Black women are not just pushed by external forces, okay? Sometimes they choose to be single. Even if they want to marry eventually, these women often lead a purposeful singles life in which they pursue goals that are important to them. How come she's not writing an article about white women, Asian women, Latinx women, but she's writing this about black women. Okay. Moment conducted an in-depth interview with 24 women from Detroit. Again, this is 24, right? Aged 25 to 46, who either had never married, 17 of them were divorced or were widowed, 7 had children, and another 12 were actively involved in children's life. All were cisgender and heterosexual. None were cohabitating with a romantic partner. The findings were reported in social singlehood, personal, interpersonal, and socio-cultural factors shaping black women's single lives. Okay, sisterhood on their own terms. For many of the black women interviewed, their single lives were intentional and beneficial. How? Again, these are just out of a pool. She couldn't even do 500 black women. She did 24. Okay. So again, so intentional and beneficial, she said. Singlehood is in and itself a strategy of managing one broader life's goal and responsibility, one that affords participants more control over their time, resources, and relationship to men. Woman calls that strategic singlehood, or the intentional practice of enacting or maintaining one's single status for a purpose of growth, safety, and exploration. And again, it's all bullshit. Okay, the single thing is not about growth, and it's not about safety either. You're more safer, though there are domestic violence cases, but that's not the majority. The majority of people who are married, who are in relationship, don't experience those types of domestic violence. And when she talk about safety, right? And again, it's a term that I hear a lot of black women saying, particularly when it comes to black men, right? Because the facts are, a lot of black women have been conditioned to not see black men as purposeful, except for providing. Okay? They don't give a damn about black men feeling and what black men want. It's about what they want. So they will always tell you what it is that they want. But as a black man, the minute you tell them what they want, they didn't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it. What they want overrides what you want as a black man. Okay? So some of the women expressed frustration with their single life. They wanted more opportunities for companionship or for sexual expression. They worried that staying single if they wanted to marry. They also recognize that people who marry are rewarded with substantial social and economic benefits. Bingo, just for being married. So yet she's saying that black women find purposeful meaning in their singleness. It's about growth, safety, and inspiration. And on the other hand, she's saying, well, these women feel frustrated with being single. So this is not even well written and well even thought of. But I want you to understand how white supremacy work and white supremacists work. Okay? Is to give you conflicted messages. And because they've conditioned a lot of our sisters, mothers, to always want to have fun and be happy, you can't be happy all the time. As human beings, we have a range of emotions. We're not happy all the time. And I said this before. What they're doing to black women in America is what the Chinese are doing to the people in China. In China, you have to walk around with a smile and pretend to be happy. Because if you don't, it'll affect your credit score. It'll affect your relationship, right, with other people. They basically use the fact that if you walk around, and again, there's cameras everywhere, so there's facial recognition, and you have to be happy. So the state could be abusing the shit out of you, but when you leave that house, you must put a smile on. Okay? I mean, it's ridiculous. But anyway, yeah, I hear them with the sirens and stuff. Okay? Yeah. Anyway. So it says, they also recognize that people who are married are rewarded with substantial social and economic benefits just for being married. Even the single women who like being single were unhappy about that singleism. Okay? But yet singlehood is about growth, it's about safety, it's about exploration. Yeah, because they want to be like men. You know, they figure if a man can sleep with 50 women, they should be with 51. The problem is that men can't get pregnant. Men don't have to carry a baby for 9 months. Men bodies don't go through drastic change because you're carrying a baby. Okay? Right? And so a lot of women have seemed to forget that. And don't even think about that. Okay? All right. So purpose driven single life. Single lives were often lives of freedom and security. The women appreciated the opportunity singlehood offered them to pursue adventures and exploration. What kind of adventures and exploration? Like you can go have adventures with your significant other, with your husband, with your partner that you are in a relationship with, to enjoy their life at their own pace and for their own reason, and to sidestep gendered responsibility that eat up time, money, and autonomy. By living single, the women feel that they were also more likely to be spared problems with money, lying, problematic management of the home, and emotional inconsistency. The funny thing is, today, more women will give you emotional inconsistency than men. More women are problematic when it comes to home management. More women lie. Okay, and when it comes to money, because women don't make as much as men, who do you think the problem with money ends up having? Okay, right? Men or women. So anyway, it's a lot of bullshit. Again, they want to travel, enjoyment, and employment and entrepreneurship, finance planning, money management, and property ownership, emotional growth. Now, the property management, guess what? Most of these women are house poor. They may own a house, but they're 6 months away from, if something happened to them, they're 6 months away from losing that home. Spiritual growth and community involvement. And most women, they're not involved in the community. There is no spiritual growth. Okay? It's all bullshit that they're lying to women about, particularly black women. And black women are soaking it up. Okay? So, anyway, now Time Magazine talks about men are now more likely to be single than women. It's not a good sign. Right? I just want to get some stats. I'm not going to totally read into everything here. It says almost a third of adult single men live with a parent. Single men are much more likely to be unemployed, financially fragile, and lack a college degree than those with a partner. We're also likely to have They're also likely to have lower medium earnings. Single men earn less in 2019 than in 1990, even adjusting for inflation. Single women, meanwhile, earn the same as they did 30 years ago, but those with partners have increased their earning by 50%. But yet they keep pushing the singleness. Why? You got to look at white supremacists and you got to look at corporate. Keeping you single because you're going to travel more, you're going to eat out more with your girlfriends, with your male friends, and stuff like that. Okay? They're destroying families, they're destroying lives because, again, profit over people. All right? Now, check this out. Let me mute this damn video. All right. So, I want to talk about the group of people here, right here. The Pew study, which used information from the 2019 American Community Survey, note that men are now more likely to be single than women, which was not the case 30 years ago. Black people are more likely to be single. Again, black people are more likely to be single. Okay? Let's look at the statistics. 15, okay, black people are much more likely. Hold on a sec. Okay, so like I said, so when you look at, again, corporate and what these elites, these corporate people have been doing is, again, once the increase Okay, so it's all about profit. And who do you think they target the most with these types of things? Women, right? And particularly in the black community, black women. Okay, when you look at the billions and billions of dollars black women spend on weaves and just weaves, okay, wigs, weaves, it's $1 billion industry. And guess what? Black women are not benefiting from that. Other groups of people are. Okay, so let's go back to the statistics, right? Black people are more likely to be single, 59%, than any other race. And black women, 62%, are the most likely to be single of any sector. Asian people, 29%, are the least likely to be single, followed by whites, 30%, and Hispanics, 38%. Look at the huge gap. But this is what we see in the black community. This is how black women have been conditioned to be single, to go out, have fun all the time. Meanwhile, their children are suffering. Remember, 80% of children raised in the black community are raised by single mothers. Okay? And those children, particularly boys who are raised by single mothers, the majority, okay, particularly if they're in their teenage years, older teenage years to young adult years, have a lower reading level than other groups of boys. Okay? Why? Because they want to, these women, they want to be single and they want to go out there and have fun. Okay? The kind of fun that they're having, right? They don't want to stay home and do this, even when they're single. No man in the house. And the behavior is this. This is what they do in their home. Nothing. Let's have a whole bunch of shit pile up. Don't want to clean. They want a man to tell them to clean. They just want to live like this and not be told anything. Okay, let's continue. Okay, so when I take my time and I clean and I do all this, and then this is what I come back to. But I can't say nothing. Okay, the other one. Okay, and finally, yeah, but they want to be single because they don't want to be told, hey, you should clean up. You should do this. You should do that. That's the state of a lot of black women in the black community. Maybe not this extreme. So, like I said, when I talk about black women in the black community, how they have been removed from that nurturing nature and natural self that they're supposed to be, they are. Just look as a black man and as a man in general. Like I said, when things happen within the black community, it's going to transfer into other communities. Okay, there will be a spillover. So no matter what they try to do to black people, it always going to backfire. Okay, yes, we're going to be affected, sometimes greatly, but we can rest assured that as we go further along, it's going to move into their community, other people communities. Whether you're Asian, Hispanic, Caucasian, okay, whether you're an Arab, Middle Eastern, what have you. But again, I'm talking about here within the United States, because we know outside the United, we know in Mexico, and they'll tell you if you read this article, right, have the lowest divorce rate in North America. Other Spanish-speaking countries, other within the and English-speaking countries within South the Southern and North Africa. Okay, I'm sorry, not Africa, North America. Anyway, yeah. So you look at Mexico, you look at Colombia, you look at you know uh, these countries, and particularly whenever you see countries that have a large population of Black people, Brazil, you start to see issues like this. It's a divide and conquer tactic. It's a divide and conquer method being used against us. All right. So, like I said, I'm I don't just live this experience as a TI. I study what it is that they're doing. Okay, I understand, but many people don't want to believe me. So this is why I show it. Because believe me, particularly as a Black man, okay, who understands what's happening in our community, who I don't hide from the truth. I don't live in a delusional mind with a delusional mindset. Though some people may call me that because of what it is that I'm talking about that has been done to me. And this is why I set out to do all this research and study my target and to expose what's happening. And the fact is that, the personality created within us as TIs and also within the Black population in America is one that's detrimental. And if we're not aware of what's happening and what's going on, you know, you're going to sink into a deep hole, right? And so the only way to stop these evil people from continuing with their plan is to expose it and let others knows exactly what's being done and what's happening, what's going on. So, like I said, I will be used as an instrument to expose and, you know, make people understand that they're being lied to, they're being deceived, and they need to wake up and open up their eyes and their mind. Okay? So that's it for the video. I'm getting ready to get out of here. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care. Oh, did I stop the recording? Anyway, um, so I didn't. I was just doing the whole video, finishing the video, and I realized that I didn't start the recording. So I'm gonna say this. Just look at the statistics. Black people are more likely to be single, 59% than any race. Black women, 62%, are more single than any sector. Asian people, 29%, are the least likely to be single, followed by whites, Hispanic, and Asian. By whites and Hispanics, I mean. When you look at the state of the Black community, particularly with Black women, as Black men, you can't tell them nothing. They want to be single and free. They don't have to clean up their house, take care of their kids properly. Okay. So this is what's happening. Oh, I don't know. This is kind of weird, but I don't know. I just got a message saying that, are you sure you want to stop recording? So did I stop the video before? I'm not even sure, but I'm gonna still put this video up. If not, if I haven't recorded everything, I will do a part 2 because again, something is happening here. But I'll watch the video over, and like I said, if I have to do a part 2, I'll do a part 2, and we'll continue.